I am Matthias of Regeneration's Creations, and today I want to go over some of the other races of my story. Today I'll be covering the three newer elven races, the Sun, Night, and Wood Elves. So during the Second Age, at the Eastern Pyramid of the Sun, the demigod Sol Invicta was created. Sol Invicta was a Roman sun god in real life, and the name means the unconquered sun. From him, a race of elf was birthed. These sun elves were dubbed the Solvi Fae. So a quick aside, I remember hearing that in anthropology class that most humans that name themselves, the name just means the people in their language. So I thought instead the elves would call themselves like the life. And then I kind of based a lot of their names off Latin. So the name derives from the Latin sol vitae, or sunlight. So I added the Fae at the end to make it sound less Latin, as well as like the little apostrophe. So Solvi Fae. The Solvi Fae are the most traditional looking type of elf. They are tall, slender, pale-skinned, and blonde-haired. They are the most long-lived of the new elven races, but reproduce the slowest. Like their demigod, Sol Invicta, they are a manifestation of the aspect of assertive order. Due to this, they seek to impose their will on the world in an attempt to bring stability and fend off chaos. I've based them off a mixture of Japan and Rome. So like in Japan, they are from the east and call their land the Kingdom of the Rising Sun. Their society is very structured and regimented with clear social hierarchies, and all are seen as servants to the great king and must uphold strict codes of honor and tradition. They seek to control everything and bring about a perfect civilization of law and order. They are users of fire magic, and they use this to cleanse the impurities they see in the world. Their mages can create fire tornadoes, hurl massive fireballs. Their paladins use the power of light and fire, but they combine that with the heavy armor and a sun staff for channeling their power, as well as for bludgeoning the enemy. The sun staff I based off of Coranthir. He's the Wild Hunt's navigator from The Witcher 3. It's basically it looks like he's carrying around this cold staff, but he uses it like a pole hammer. So it's like a metal staff, and then it has a sun orb at the top with metal bands holding it to the thing and a spike coming off the top. This use of fire magic also led the Sun Elves to becoming amazing blacksmiths, working metal like never seen before, influenced by the legendary katana making process of folding steel over and over, or Damascus steel for the Roman context. So in the Third Age, the Sun Elves sought to rebuild the greatness of the old unified empire, but simply lacked the numbers to do so. So they took a page from their Primordial Elf overlords and created three new races by mixing their life essence with animals. So they created the simian-like humans, the lizard-like Eruxi, and the bird-like Arakoa. And I will cover these races in the next video. Now in the Western Step Pyramid, this is the Pyramid of the Moon, the demigod Selene Meraki was created. And again, in real life, in ancient Greek, Selene was the name of the moon goddess, and Meraki means to create with love and passion. So she's like the creative moon. From her, the Night Elves were birthed, and they are called the Lu Navitae. Again, it's the derivation of Latin for luna, moon, and vitae, life. So moon life, Lu Navitae. These elves are the opposite of the Sun Elves in many ways. They are the shortest of the elves, and also the shortest lived, but they reproduce the fastest. They have dark purple skin and white hair and a fairly robust build, especially for elves. Like their demigod, Selene Meraki, they are the manifestation of the aspect of creative chaos. This is associated with the underlying fabric of reality, or ether. They seek change, creativity, freedom, and being in a flow state with the universe. They can bend light to create illusions or invisibility. They can transmute matter from one form into another. And I have loosely based them off the ancient Greeks, because they believe in democracy, they hate tyrants, and instead of creating a unified empire, they created loosely tied city-states, each with their own rules and culture. So currently in the story, they are in the Underdark, and there are 13 distinct tribes of them. Really, I'm going for the 12-in-1 symbolism from Christianity, right? So there's 12 recognized tribes, each with their own, like each with the vibe of a Greek city-state, all in the Underdark. Then there's the ephemeral tribe. This is the 13th tribe. And this is like kind of like the priest class for them. They're only together. The 13th tribe, the ephemeral tribe, is only together during high holy days where all night elves convene. Otherwise, they break into small bands and travel between the other tribes as emissaries, diplomats, judges, priests, and matchmakers. They are seen as the divine will of creative chaos, and their work is to keep the night elves in peaceful coexistence and mutual benefit for one another. And then, like I said, I'm going with the Greek influence for them. So like my main character is a night elf, and his name is Mattheos. All right, so basically just like an ancient Greek version of Matthew. So now the last one is the, so in the southern step pyramid, the pyramid of the earth, is where the demigod Dayar Halaith was created. Now in real life, Dayar Halaith is Welsh, and it means bountiful earth. Sadly, I know very little about Welsh history and culture, but I did read a book series by the author Bernard Cornwell about King Arthur. It's called The Warlord Chronicles, and it's an amazing book. And he includes a lot of Welsh names, and I found that they were strange yet beautiful. So I thought it'd be perfect for the Wood Elves, naming convention-wise at least. So from Dayar Halaith, the Wood Elves were birthed and called the Driadie. So as I said, for the previous two, it's kind of just like sun life, moon life, you know, so sol vitae, luna vitae. But for these guys, it got a little different. And like previously, the evil elves, the Ma'alie, kind of come into this. So I was looking up how to say elf in Latin, and there's no direct correlation. They didn't really have elves, how we think of them. But then I did see two words that came up, Driadalis and Melie. They were two like kind of like, you know, like woodland spirits, sprites, fey creatures from Roman lore. So I changed them a bit to fit more with my storyline. So the Latin term Driadalis, it sounded like, you know, dryad, a type of forest nymph from Warcraft 3. So I thought it'd be perfect for the Wood Elves. Kind of got like that dryad symbolism to it. So these Wood Elves are like a mix between the Sun and the Night Elves, but with a bent towards nature. And then like their demigod, Dayar Halaith, they are the aspect of supportive order. So they are in between the Sun and the Night Elves in terms of height, lifespan, and reproduction rate. I had based them off of like a mix between the Children of the Forest from the Song of Ice and Fire series, as well as from trolls from the Warcraft universe. I made some AI art of them, and this can be seen in the thumbnail for chapter 4 of the audiobook on my channel. They are tall and slender, with cat-like eyes, short, soft fur covers their bodies, and their fur comes in natural earth tones, and they wear moss and tree bark instead of clothing. They are split between two different types of Wood Elf. Those with antlers are awake during the day, and those with tusks are awake during the night. Like their demigod, Dayar Halaith, they are manifestations of the aspect of supportive order, so they wield nature magic, and they carry no weapons. They can control all the flora and fauna around them, and their main goal is to encourage the diversity of life across the planet. They seek to cover the land in dense vegetation, working each environment towards old-growth forests, jungles, rainforests, that kind of thing. They usually live in very small populations, and they are, like the evil Ma'alie before them, they are telepathic. The telepathy is how they communicate with flora and fauna, as well as within the small tribes that they live in. And within these small tribes, their telepathic bond is so strong, it becomes almost like a hive mind of each little tribe. So in the story that I have up, the human character experiences this telepathy, and he describes it as a swirl of emotion and memories that coalesce into meaning in his mind instead of coalescing into words. So each tribe of Wood Elf is equal parts antler and tusk, day and night, so they can tend to all types of life, right? Nocturnal and diurnal. So when sleeping, they enter the collective consciousness, and so no Wood Elf is ever truly alone or ever fully a singular being. They're always connected to each other and the life around them. Aside from their nature magic, their most powerful ability is to store their consciousnesses in living wood vessels. This way, dead Wood Elves can still remain in the collective consciousness of the tribe. Though the psychic bond is very strong, its power wanes over distance. So Wood Elves can send basic communications, like a soft voice on the wind or dreams, over great distances, but really the strong telepathy requires them to be close to each other. And then the Wood Elves, their guardians are like their magical warriors. They are the consciousnesses of dead Wood Elves that have been put into these living wood vessels, but like into gigantic ones. They're made up of living wood and plant material. So some of them can look like bears or cats, like large cats that are made out of wood and leaf. And then others are put into gigantic bodies that look like giant humanoid trees. So the Wood Elves are also very adept at making potions and poisons from combining the natural materials around them. This knowledge they will pass on to the lesser races, mainly the humans, as my story progresses. So these have been the three main types of elves in my story: the Wood Elves, the Briadier, the Sun Elves, the Solvife, and the Night Elves, the Lu Navite. In the next video, I'll be covering the three new races that the Sun Elves created: the humans, the Aruxi, and the Arakoa. So thank you for listening, and until next time, have a good day.